At Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion for racing.
Live from South Carolina, but welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where we get set to duke it out for the second crown jewel event here on Friday Night Racing. Welcome back to the ZTRL Racing League and to the Darlington Raceway, where we are getting set to go racing for 185 laps. My name is Little Ramble alongside Lucas Moody. We're bringing you all the racing action from start to finish here this afternoon as we get set to duke it out at the Lady in Black. Lucas, this track is called the track Too Tough to Tame for a reason. This race going to be brutal tonight on drivers. 185 laps is a marathon around this racetrack.
Yeah, this is a track with by far the most amount of nicknames. You already said the two, the Lady in Black, the track Too Tough to Tame. Another not so commonly used one, the Widowmaker. This is the most difficult track on this calendar. It is a track that really pushes the drivers to their limits, tests them, and separates the good from the bad.
Taking a look at the championship standings, entering racing action here today. Robert Tester and Terrence Murphy sitting 1-2 in the point standings. They are both locked into the playoffs with race wins this season. Also locked in is Akari King Wright all the way back in the 17th place position after Akari King Wright had a decently good run at Dover, taking the win there as well. For other drivers, Jonathan Dominus, Joshua Siegfried, and Willie Smith sit within the 100-point bracket, with Stephen Blevins, Jamie Dunne, Keena Kimber, Blake Hullett, and Thaddeus Friel Jr. all getting set to chase down the 100-point marker as well, and they should be breaking in to that 100-point bracket before the end of the night as well.
Yeah, we talk about these championship standings, and these back five guys, they, even though they're 6th through 10th, the top 16 guys make it into the first round of playoffs, so they're still in a great position to really put themselves into exactly where they want to be, which is of course that round of 16. And once you make it to the round of 16, the hard part then is to make it into that round of 12 and 8 and 4 and so on. But where they are right now, they're perfectly where they have to be. They just have to keep putting in the good work.
The weather forecast today is looking to be a hot one. 88 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. That's not too bad, but what is not going to be ideal is the 117-degree track temperatures. That's been a staple in these first few races, hasn't it, Lucas, right? I mean, we saw hot track temperatures at Dover. We saw hot track temperatures last week at Michigan, and we see once again for the third week in a row, temperatures of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit down there on the racing surface, and some fierce winds as well. 13, 14 miles an hour blowing off towards the south. Going to make this a difficult track to contend with here this afternoon, as drivers have been struggling to even put in the qualifying lap with less than half the field so far making runs.
Yeah, that track temp is absolutely terrifying for me as a driver. At a track that hot, it's going to burn your tires up, it's going to overheat them, and it's just going to do a bunch of things to your car that you really don't want to happen. And of course, that 11 mile an hour south blowing wind, that is a crosswind on both of the straightaways, which effectively, I believe, into turn 3, it'll be pushing on from the right side to the left side of their car. So as these drivers are entering 3, it's going to be pushing them down towards the apex. And as they're exiting 4, it's going to be pushing them wide and even pushing their car loose. So those winds are also a very fierce with how quick they are. 11 miles an hour is nothing to scoff at.
Only 15 drivers have put down laps so far. Now, that's not to say this is a small field, right? You got 28 drivers that are registered, and so far, out of the 28 drivers that have registered, only 15 have put down successful times. There's been another 7 or 8 that have attempted laps, all of them having problems on their one lap. Right now, Wayne Graves, one of the lone drivers that has not attempted a lap. There are a few others that have attempted as well, 4 or 5 cars that have not yet gone out onto the racetrack as well, and I don't think they intend to either, but it's going to be a brutal afternoon if this is the types of struggles that drivers are facing here in qualifying. And, well, speaking of qualifying, the qualifying session going to draw to a close. And with that, it's about high time that we take a rundown on what your starting grid is going to look like for the next 185 lap. Stages occur at 50 and lap 100. And starting it off on lap number 1, it's going to be the likes here of Terrence Murphy, already locked into the playoffs. He's trying to prevent another driver from being locked in as well. He starts alongside the airlift number 88 of TJIV. Robert Tester locked in as well from Daytona. He starts on road number 2 alongside the X4 number 4 of Eric Morton. Row 3 on the grid, Samuel Longworth for Tier 1 Motorsports and the Dark Knight Mountain Dew number 7. He starts alongside the DuPont number 24 Rainbow Warrior of Austin Guerrero, making his first start this afternoon. Row 4 on the grid, Brian Matthews and the Hardys 28, going to be bringing it up alongside the Pennzoil Shell number 85 of Dave Shively for DraftKings. And then to the tail of the field, it's going to be Thaddeus Friel Jr. for Fearless Motorsports with the Mac Vidar number 98 alongside the Mellow Yellow number 51 of Stephen Blevins.
And then starting tonight here in 11th, it's of course that Wrangler 33 of Douglas Ivy, and alongside, it's that Muck-Off 45 of Jonathan Dominics. And just behind them in 13th position, it is Joshua Siegfried lining up alongside Frank Chavez. And starting today in 15th, it'll be that 82 machine of Daniel Molinari, and starting in 16th will be that 50 machine of Jason Steptoe. And then right behind them in 17th position, it is that Valvoline 42 of Aaron Longworth alongside the Bojangles 65 of Keenan Kimber. And bringing home your top 20 in 19th, it is the Ghost 87 of Blake Hullett and the Kaiju 75 of Willie Smith.
21st place, it's Jamie Lee Dunning with the Scots number 54 alongside the Bonanza number 12 of Jamin Bernhardt. Moving down into row number 12, it's Adam Hoagland for Garage Mahal Motorsports. The number 12 will start alongside Ethan Farless in the Carvana number 84 Toyota Camry. Row 15 on the grid, it's James Graney alongside Dean Howard, and final row of the field, it's going to be Wayne Graves in the Punisher Garage Mahal Motorsports number 07 alongside Riley Watts down in number 45. So 28 cars on the grid, only about 16 managed to put down successful qualifying laps. Doesn't bode well for the opening laps here this afternoon.
It does not at all. If you think this track is hard to drive by yourself, just solo turning laps, imagine cars ahead of you, cars behind you, cars in front of you, cars completely surrounding you. It just makes this track that much trickier to drive when you have the pressure of cars behind, when you have the dirty air of cars in front. This is going to be an absolutely chaotic race if qualifying has anything to tell us.
Tell you what, it's been quite the afternoon for several drivers here this afternoon as we are getting set to go racing here today. But of course, this one is, we're going to be extending this one by another lap, so we do have an extra chance here to be able to kind of just talk about a couple of drivers here. Of course, Austin Guerrero making his Zero Torque Racing League debut. Good qualifying effort from him, starting at the number 6 spot. What do you reckon the rookie can do, and we'll be seeing a big shakeup this afternoon from the rookie?
Yeah, a lot of this track is about, this track is about track position. Putting yourself up in the field with a good qualifying lap, and it really allows you to not let the other people behind pass you, because passing around here is very, very difficult in the short run and can be even more difficult in the long run, if you do not save your tires well. Now, going back to 22nd, the 14 of Jamin Bernhardt, Nolan.
Also a rookie entering today, making his Zero Torque Racing League debut. So a couple of drivers fresh onto the scene, and that's going to, again, make for a bit of an interesting run here this afternoon. Several drivers, of course, making some of their second or third starts with this still being early in the new season. Terrence Murphy has been sent to the tail of the field along with Robert Tester and Jonathan Dominics for penalties picked up earlier in the week, which means that it's going to be all in the hands of TJ Ivy at the front end of this field. Make that Samuel Longworth at the head of this field. The pace car is off, and it is officially time to get the party started. The field going to work their way into the restart zone as it's time to pick up the loud pedals, tighten the belts, and hold on to your hats as we go, go, go with the lady in black. Samuel Longworth, one of several drivers that strikes the outside wall early on here this afternoon as he hightails it down the front straightaway and in towards turn number 1. Look at the top 5 already breaking away by 1.4 seconds from Joshua Siegfried on down.
Yeah, you talk about hitting the wall. Nobody can forget the Darlington stripe that your car walks out of here when you finish a race here in South Carolina. As we have some moves further down the pack. That's, I believe, that's the 54. It's the 51. Sorry, actually gets up into the wall. Talk about the Darlington stripe. There's going to be a huge one on the right side of that car after that contact with the wall. And yeah, that's going to bring Stephen Blevins down to 16th.
Joshua Siegfried, fastest lap of the race here early on as Eric Morton going to duck around Thaddeus Friel Jr. to make some ground, while further back in the field, They see Keenan Kimber and Daniel Molinari sideways on the back straightaway, and Riley Watts pounds the inside safer barrier on the back straightaway. And that is going to spell an early end to the day. Look at the left front of the number 44, completely disconnected off of that race car. That is day over for Riley Watts.
Yeah, not only that, but since the caution didn't come out, even if it was minimal damage that he would have to get repaired, it's a green flag race still. As he's getting that damage repaired, he's going to be losing laps. So, yeah, that is a very quick race over for Riley Watts.
Oh, man, big hit in the wall, and just stepped the back end out all by himself, right? That's one of the challenges with the Darlington Raceway. It's very, very easy to kick the tail end out. TJ Ivey has picked up the lead early on, while Samuel Longworth drops back to the second place spot. He is going to clear for Brian Matthews to try to attack him down into turn one. Several drivers running throwback schemes this afternoon. Of course, got the Rainbow Warrior out there, got this old Hardee's paint scheme. I saw Mellow Yellow, and I even saw a Tabasco hot sauce car back in practice as well, although I do not believe that car is currently out there on the racetrack, right? But several drivers paying homage to some old legendary schemes from way back when.
Yeah, I'll let you handle the scheme sniping, as I'm gonna say here, because I don't know too many of those old school schemes. Says the 50. I believe that's Jason Steptoe gets really loose on the exit of 2 there, and yeah, this you talked about it a little, Nolan. I talked about it a little in the pre-show. This car looking very, very loose in the exit corners, and especially at exit of 4 with that wind pushing your car wide and pushing it loose on exit. It's going to be a tough day for these drivers out here.
Douglas Ivey in the number 33 looking to track clear here as Joshua Siegfried and Eric Morton making some ground. One car down low. Frank Chavez going to be losing out with some ground, as in fact there is the old Tabasco paint scheme as Robert Tester ducks around the number 19 Howard. Gina Kimber just in front has just caught the wall, and quite a bit of right side damage now to Keenan Kimber's number 65, and that is not going to be an ideal look for the Tier 1 Motorsports Bojangles Chevrolet.
Yeah, Robert Tester, currently your points leader, who had to start from the back of this race. From previous penalties, another car hits the wall on the exit of 2 and gets loose. That's Ethan Farless in the 24. But as I was saying, Robert Tester all the way up from 28 to 17. He is up 11 positions in 9 laps, Nolan. He is cutting his way through this pack like butter, and it won't be long until he's on the back of, cars of Aaron Longworth, of Dave Shively, fighting for these top 10 spots. Here's the 01. Looked to go for a move on the 65 there. That almost looked like contact right as we were cut away, and here it is. The move is going to be completed. That's a great lunge there into turn 1 it was.
That's the 07 of Wayne Graves making up some ground there. Up front, Aaron Longworth fighting around Dave Shively. Willie Smith and Jamie Lee Dunning in the battle as well. As hold on, the 42 of Aaron Longworth flashing out for a moment there. That causes Shively to go evasive down to the inside of the racetrack as Jamie Lee Dunning catches the outside wall. So does Jason Steptoe right behind them. And boy, quite a lot of drivers fighting the outside wall in turn 2 early on. Now, turn 2, when it comes to wall strikes, is often the trouble spot at the Darlington Raceway. And you got to remember, this track is not your typical shape, right? It is a very oblong shape. In fact, there it is, bottom right of your screens, right? Look at how much tighter turns 3 and 4 is. You're on the brakes a lot more. The speeds are not nearly as high. Turns 1 and 2, very momentum-based, Lucas. So the technique is always try to get a good run through 1 and 2, dive to the inside in 3 and 4. And right now, that is inviting a lot of chaos into the outside wall at turn 2.
Yeah, and it also is just such an interesting track because of the racing line that you take when driving here. It is not your typical inside, outside, inside. And yeah, we might just be able to see the drivers doing it through this little numbers cam. I don't really know what to call that, actually. But you hit the apex in turn 1, and you actually swing all the way back out to the entrance or to the exit wall on the outside of the track, and then you swing all the way back down to the apex once again for turn 2, and you kind of do the same thing for 3 and 4. So instead of a one apex inside or outside, inside, outside, it is very much a two apex line for both sets of corners around here. And it is my favorite track to drive in a next gen car by far. And that's why I love it so much, just because it's so unique and so challenging.
Saw quite a bit of smoke just up the road. Terrence Murphy potentially having an issue with Daniel Molinari. Trying to take a look back and see if we can dissect what happened here to Murphy, who has dropped all the way back to 17th of the win in Michigan. Slides to the inside there, able to catch it. While Daniel Molinari got up into the outside wall in turn 2. And that looks like that was about all she wrote, but yeah, a couple of cars, again, still experiencing issues there with turn 4 as well. Jamie Lee Dunning continued on to that battle for the 8th place spot with Thaddeus Root Jr., Willie Smith, and Aaron Longworth situated just behind him. But starting to separate a bit, and this is starting to turn into just a 9-car fight. Or 3-car
really
fight for 9.
quickly, yeah, you're good. Really quickly, these cars are just starting to pull ahead, and it makes me wonder, Nolan, are they simply quicker than everybody else behind, or are they pushing their tires out way more than everybody else? Darlington is one of those tracks that is so tough on your tires with the way it's paved, with how you have to drive it. It is just one of the ones that eats away at your tires, and if you're not careful, you will just absolutely shred and annihilate them very quickly. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. What are the drivers that are maybe saving tires, falling back to the pack, and who are the drivers that are pushing too hard, getting too much of an advantage, all to lose it by the end of this green flag run here?
Well, we saw Thaddeus Root Jr. attempt some race mitigation as well, or some risk management there is, I think, a better term for it, as he actually pulled to the inside and let both cars go behind and recognize, hey, I'm probably slowing these guys up. It is not worth me tearing my car up in a fight like this on lap 17. I'm going to pull to the side and let them go, and who knows, maybe I'll run them down later on. You just saw as well Jamie Lee Dunning push around Douglas Ivey. He is up 14 positions from where he started, right, all the way back at about 21st. So Jamie Lee Dunning is a man on a mission right now as he is hunting a top 5, although he's got a 3.4-second deficit to work his way up to Austin Guerrero.
Yeah, and once again, the question that I have to bring up with Jamie Lee Dunning is, you said he was a man on a mission. Is he missioning too hard? Is he pushing his tires out? Is he wearing them up? They're just letting him by. They're saving their tires. They know there's no point in battling for track position. On lap 18, as no one is at a car in the pit lane. I couldn't quite tell. Is it the 65?
It is. Keenan Kimber has called it quits on the day as well. Darlington Raceway not agreeing with Kimber, it seems. Unfortunate for the Tier 1 Motorsports driver. He's been in there for about a minute and 20 now as, you've got Robert Tester. Tester's fought his way around David Shively up into the outside wall as Daniel Molinari, and he has hit the fence big time. And could he, in fact, have a tire down on the right side? No, looking like everything's still good, but a hard shot into the outside wall. Take a look at what brings this one about.
Yes, we'll take another look at it here.
Oh, man. Oh, it just went straight on.
It's too late. That is really weird. It's almost like just a snap second of losing focus and your car's in the wall, and that's definitely going to be some toe link damage for the 82, which is, I assume, why he's bringing that machine down to pit lane, because a hit that hard will definitely damage your car, even in iRacing.
Chevrolet to the inside of Jason Steptoe in the battle for 13th. Trying to fight his way up and through as well. Terrence Murphy loosely tagging on to the tail of this fight as well. And the 85 and the 50 remain side by side. Down the front straightaway. Oh, that's tied it around. Chevrolet's going to go. Slides the back end down. He's able to gather it up.
Yeah, once again, turns 3 and 4 proving very difficult for these drivers. Or, I'm sorry, was that 1 and 2? That was 1 and 2. Excuse me. Once again, though, this track, I should say, just proving very difficult for these drivers. And especially, you talked about it with the momentum you want to carry out of 2. When you turn in for that corner, you really just don't lose a lot of speed. And you have to keep all of that momentum into the corner, throughout the corner, and out of it as well. So the entire time, you're just going much quicker than you want to. As big into the wall, and Robert Tester's on the track.
They're able to hold on to it, but that's going to cause Douglas Ivy in the Wrangler number 33 to bail out to pit road. So tough break for Ivy on that deal. Daniel Molinari has just come down pit road. He's finally managed to make his way in there as Ivy is going to bail out as well. We're looking like we're going to be dropping cars like flies here in the opening stage. Again, stage one. Oh, and a car hard into the wall to the front straightaway. That is Ethan Farless that absolutely bodied the safer barrier, the Carvana number 84, and you can see that fender just hanging off, and still no caution. We remain green.
No caution, but Nolan, let me tell you, his race is over there for the 84. That is a massive hit, and you can see the bits of his car hanging off, and see, so he just lightly taps the outside wall on 4 and gets him loose. Yeah.
Caught the outside wall and then spun down and went heavily into the inside fence as well. So Farless is going to be done for the day. A tough break for Farless. He is forced into pit road. So is Riley Watts. Douglas Ivy has been in pit road for an extended period of time as well. So looking like Douglas Ivy, maybe another driver out. We've now had 5 drivers all pulled down within the last 20 laps or so, potentially calling it quits. Up into the outside wall goes Eric Morton while fighting with Brian Mathers and Jamie Lee Dunning for 4th.
I've already lost count of the amount of times you've seen drivers hit one of those exit walls either on 4 or 2. It's just such a difficult track, and you're trying to drive it aggressively. You're trying to get on the throttle as quick as possible. But if you push it just a little bit too much, you either get a tiny bit of understeer wash up into the wall or a little bit of rear sliding and then wash up into the wall. So you can tell these drivers are really trying to push their cars here today, but a little overstep puts your car in the wall here at Darlington, and that is the nature of the track, and that is why it is called the track too tough to tame.
Jamie Lee Dunning up to the 5th place spot already. He's run down that 3.4 second gap. Jamie Lee Dunning has found something in this racetrack, and he is really flying now as he is pushed all the way to the back of Brian Matthews and trying to pressure him for the 4th place spot as well. Douglas Ivy, by the way, after spending about a minute and a half at pit road, is back out on the racetrack. There's the Lucas, hold on. Matthews with a bit of a shot into the outside wall. Going to let Jamie Lee Dunning through on the front straightaway, and look at how quickly that 54 car has taken off.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Dunning has done a great job of managing his pace here today. I mentioned it earlier, I was worried that, he would push too far or push too hard too early, his tires would fall off and he'd start dropping through the pack, but that does not seem to be happening at all. He's managed his pace well, he's keeping the pace very, very steady, and he's already moved up to 4th position. Now, Nolan currently sitting 7th in the overall standings. A win would be absolutely huge to lock him in to the playoffs. He probably doesn't necessarily need it as he is sitting 7th out of 16, but it would help a lot. And I don't know if you saw the same thing I was seeing there, Nolan, but maybe a little bit of wall riding.
I don't think so. I think just a bit of a catch to the outside wall. By the way, confirmation from Keenan Kimber. He is not out of the race, actually. That 65 Bojangles machine is intending on coming back out onto the racetrack at some point for the Tier 1 Motorsports Bojangles Chevrolet Camaro. I was just talking to him a little bit just behind the scenes a second ago. He was saying, and I quote, "No, I'm again a repair and a head back out. Gotta try for some points." Kimber knows that he cannot allow this points battle to fall by the wayside. He's trying for a playoff run.
Yeah, currently sitting right behind Jamie Lee Dunning in the championships in 8th. So he also one of those drivers in prime position to make this top 16, getting just one bad race where you finish 25th, 26th, anywhere in that back, like 5 positions of the field. Those positions pay off so little points. It would really hurt his playoff run. He could go from 8th, very much chilling, to all the way down to 17th or even 18th position. So I 100% stand by the situation to get that car fixed up, turn some more laps, and as people start crashing and start getting out of the race, you can pass them by the end. And I'm curious to see, as that tickers, how many laps he is down. It might just say pit, it does. just say pit, but I can't imagine it's anything less than 10.
I can't confirm right now. It is 17, and that is going to be 18 when the leader comes back around now. So 17 laps down, and that number only grows every 30 seconds or so. So Kimber hoping to get back out there sooner rather than later. And hey, there's at least one driver, Ethan Fardas, they can make us up a spot on, because Fardas is out of the race. Daniel Molinari, haven't heard anything from Molinari, but he appears to be out of the race as well. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get in touch with the Draft Nights Racing number 82, but if we can hopefully ask directly. Meanwhile, Willie Smith moving up into the 5th place spot. Tesser just picked off Guerrero for 8th. And Longworth fighting with Terrence Murphy for the last spot inside the top 10 with less than 20 laps to go in stage 1.
Yeah, Terrence Murphy, your pole sitter, having to start this race from the back of the pack. We know he has pace around here simply because when you qualify first, I mean, that just shows that you're the quickest on track. And can't quite tell who that is going way down on the exit 2. That's Daniel Molinari returning from the pits. He is currently sitting, I believe, 14 laps down, but that 82 machine is back on the racetrack and running.
In the pits for 5 minutes and 37 seconds, back out on the racetrack, and Kimber will be coming to back out here before too long. He is anticipating about 6 more minutes in pit road, and then that car will be rejoining the racetrack as well. So not out of the fight yet. Not in it for a win by a stretch of means, right? Any hope on getting a win or any reasonable point scoring position is out the window, but you just need to get whatever points you can muster, because even this early on, when you have winning you're in, those championship spots, they matter so much. And I'm curious to see how this one's going to pan out. Now, Wayne Graves has had a problem as well. He is now 1 lap down. Take a look at what happened to Wayne Graves.
Yeah, here we go. So this is once again that 28 Bojangles machine. And I wonder, or maybe I'm completely wrong. Wayne Graves, there's the 07, sorry. Yeah.
And whoa, down low on the racetrack, just lost the back end. And the caution flag is out. Daniel Molinari has just crashed again. And he's into the he is into the wall. He has slammed into something, and that car is on fire.
That is a completely blown engine, which in iRacing terms means a half an hour worth of repairs. And that's such a shame for the 82 because he just got that thing back on track. He just sat in the pit lane for, I believe, 8 or 7 whole minutes, and now has to go do it all over again if he wants to return. But I think at this point, Nolan, I would just shut off my computer.
Yeah, well, an engine repair like that is typically about half an hour at least, let alone all the other damage on the race car. So he is very much looking to be done for the night, and just lost it coming out of turn 2 and careens into the inside wall at probably about 160 miles an hour there. Slides back up the racetrack, and look at the dodge that Brian Matthews and Eric Morton had to pull off to avoid getting collected in the melee.
Yeah, he did a good job of not letting that car drift all the way back to the top of the track, and also getting it down off of the track as quickly as he could as soon as it was clear. And to me, Nolan, that just looks like his rear tires weren't up to temperature yet, and he just got them loose, didn't have enough grip on exit.
Several cars coming down pit road, 8th place on down, are all committing to pit road here. The top 7, Dean Howard, Austin Guerrero, Eric Morton, Joshua Siegfried, Jamie Lee Dunny, Samuel Longworth, TJ Ivey, all staying out. An interesting decision for several to stay out on the racetrack here, as a long stop for Brian Matthews, and he might be going to the tail of the field, probably with some damage to fix, so he's going to be in there for 25 plus seconds. Right on board here with Eric Morton's number 4. And see what he saw as he just barely escaped disaster. He is now up to 4th. And the big thing is, look at all the glare from the sun, right? And then the car being blocked, and had no idea a car was there until he saw the 28 slam the brakes in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, that is just epic reaction time from the 4 there. I mean, yeah, with the 28 blocking his view of the track, with the sun glaring in her eyes, I mean, that last second move, it had to be last second. It was, and he made it work and kept that car out of trouble. So yeah, once again, great stuff there from Eric Morton to make that only a 1-car wreck, as only, unfortunately, for Daniel Molinari. He is the only car to be involved in that, but at least it wasn't many more.
It'll be lap number 40, 11 laps to go in stage number 1 when we come back to it. And boy, it is going to be a wild final 11 laps or so here. And, you know, considering how a few drivers have taken tires, most have taken fuel only, mind you. I am willing to bet here, though, that we are not going to be done wrecking before the stage draws to a close. Pace car's off. Here we go.
Yeah, I also do think that we'll get some more wrecks, especially as these drivers become to get more feisty, become to get more antsy by the end of the stage.
No start, no start. They waved it off. The pace car will come back out onto the racetrack. You see the lights are on right there on pit road. So they waved off the start. Several drivers were still sorting themselves out at the tail end of the field. So we'll go around one more time, making this now a 10-lap dash.
Yeah, now I want to go back to the decision for a lot of these top drivers to stay out on the racetrack, and I think it makes perfect sense. If you're in this top 10 in essentially a position to get points when the stage ends, when that stage caution comes out, I think why not stay out on the track, you know, keep yourself in the track position, get those points, and then just pit at the end of the stage when another caution comes out, inevitably in 10 laps. And I think, you know, if you're not in the top 10, the exact opposite applies. You know, pit for some new tires. See if you can use that advantage of having a fresher set of rubber to get your way into the top 10. And I think all of these drivers that were in the top 10 not pitting makes sense. And for those that aren't in the top 10, pitting makes sense. But now here we go. Hopefully we're not getting baited by race control this time. And here we can have a good 10-lap shootout from this stage.
Green flag coming out this time by, as they will enter the restart zone, TJ Ivy. Oh, hold on! Oh. Samuel Longworth spins the tires and catches the outside wall big time. Jamie Lee Dunning clears over the second place spot. They're able to keep it together. Top 4 breakaway. Eric Morton on back, and we're looking to go side by side. Some drivers are still double file coming around through turn numbers 1 and 2, but for the most part, single file as they hit the back straightaway, although several cars are hitting the outside wall still.
Yeah, that mistake from, I believe it was either Samuel Longworth or Joshua Siegfried.
It was Longworth.
I can't quite remember. It was Longworth. It makes sense when you're starting a restart on 33-lap-old tires, as it was, or 42-lap-old tires, I should say. They're very, very worn. The rear does not give you the grip you want to put the power down. So just got a little bit too antsy in the restart, put that thing in the outside wall, and now Nolan, I think the car to watch out for here. Oh, it's a huge hit in the wall for the Tabasco.
Dean Howard catching the outside wall. Something fierce there for the number 9. A lot of damage now on the right side of the Tabasco number 9. And hold on, is Jason Steptoe going to get up into him? Steptoe slides the back end down. Able to gather it up, but that puts Howard back into the fence in turn 4. Still able to hold it together, and we've got less than 10 to go in stage 1.
Oh, the 7 blinks out of existence. Tester has to go down the track to avoid the 7 of Samuel Longworth, once again having some internet issues here. As Terrence Murphy, your first car on fresher tires, already up to 6th. Nolan, he is the one to watch for, as he's probably gonna make up a lot of positions in these last 6 laps, having tires that are straight up just 40 or so laps newer than everybody else in front. And Robert Tester now, your points leader, making his way up to 2nd in place, 2 seconds behind our leader of TJ Ivy, who's done a magnificent race so far, leading essentially every single lap here.
Several cars coming down towards pit road, or at least one driver's coming down pit road. That's Joshua Siegfried that is bailing out, and he wants nothing to do with this. He's going to take to pit road with 6 laps to go in the stage and forfeit any stage points that he may have otherwise achieved. You got Willie Smith here right now, fighting with Jonathan Dominics for the last 2 spots up for grabs in stage 1. Eric Morton and Terrence Murphy double file as well as they hit the back straightaway and continue to power it out amongst themselves.
Yeah, and now Robert Tester starting to slowly pull that gap in from TJ Ivy, but Behind that, we have the battle for 6. That's Eric Morton and Austin Guerrero. Sorry, it's Austin Guerrero and Dave Shively on the inside, able to get through. And Austin Guerrero, that 24, just lost 3 positions in the span of a single corner there. So that 24 machine definitely struggling a little bit. I believe he was one of the drivers to stay out on old tires, so maybe for the 24 that wasn't the best strategy, but it's hard to say in hindsight.
It's actually that decision to stay outright that caused him to lose those 3 spots, because what he actually did there, as Jimmy Lee Dunning, is also taking a bit road, couldn't make it on the field. Guerrero knows that the guys might be faster. No point fighting them. He lifted early into the corner, so he lost some spots by design because he is playing race mitigation, right? He wants to make sure that he is still there to fight for some spots here in stage 2. Jonathan Dominique's into the outside wall. Now the big question is, does TJ Ivey have the field to make it to the end of stage 1?
Oh, so I didn't even think about this fuel savings game, or this, this question mark of, do these drivers have enough fuel? Because around Darlington, it's so tire centered. Are your tires good? How are your tires? What's a tire wear like? How much pace do you have in your tires? But of course, these cars have a limited fuel tank, and with this being the ZTRL, not only is their fuel tank limited, but it's limited even more so. So can they make 50 laps? No, that is a great question.
It's probably why we're seeing several drivers that hadn't come down pit road coming down now, is because they didn't have the fuel to make the distance. Robert Tesser is trying to close the gap on TJ Ivey. Ivey is still pushing. He thinks he might have an answer and might be able to make it. He's got a lap and a half, though, that he still has to make it around. And then he's got to make it around 2 more laps before pit road opens again.
Yeah, but at least when you have those laps under caution, you can hold the clutch down, put your car in 5th gear, and you can use very little fuel to do so. So really, Nolan, he's just going to be looking to get this 1 more lap in with what he has left in that fuel tank. And when he takes that green and checkered, if he has to pit, well, you can at least be satisfied that you got your 10 points for winning the stage, but usually you're pretty good under caution, even if you're running low on fuel. And here we go, Robert Tester now half a second behind, probably not going to be able to challenge.
Coming around in the turn numbers 3 and 4, TJ Ivey right now at the head of the field, and he is going to be the one that takes home the win in stage number 1. Tesla will be back in second. 3.4 seconds back is Terrence Murphy. Another 2 seconds back is Willie Smith. And then it's Jonathan Dominics, Aaron Longworth, Dave Shively, Samuel Longworth, Blake Hullett, and Stephen Blevins to close out stage number 1. The yellow flag comes out, and TJ Ivey, your stage 1 winner.
Yeah, it's been a great Age 1 for TJ Ivey. Led every single one of the 50 laps that we've had so far completely, and absolutely deserved this one here today. But now here's the question. We know that these guys up front here, they all have to pit, and that's going to cycle TJ Ivey probably down to about 15th or 16th position. So it's now going to be the question of, can he make his way back through the field? It's going to be difficult, I'll say that.
Well, we'll get a look on all of that and more as the field going to come down pit road here this time by. We're going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side of Green Flag TV. You won't miss a moment as we get set to see how Stage 2 kicks off. We'll be back in a moment with more.
Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion for racing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where Stage 2 is about to kick off here at the Darlington Raceway. Jamie Barnhart just coming down pit road, and he's going to be black flag for pitting under a closed pit road. My name is Lucas Moody alongside, my name is Nolan Remble alongside Lucas Moody.
Oh,
there we go.
I was Lucas Moody.
Yeah, you're Lucas Moody. I'm Nolan Remble. I know names. Lights are out aboard the pace car. Now, some interesting developments coming down pit road here. Aaron Longworth, fuel only for his car. TJ Ivy, right sides only. That's a choice, and I'm not sure if it's a choice I necessarily agree with. Critical to remember, these guys only have 3 tire changes. Quite a few drivers have already burned one of those sets with the caution at lap 40, right? That's gonna leave them with not a lot to contend with later on. One of these fuel runs, you're likely gonna be having to go fuel only on, so I think some drivers are trying to take it out of the way earlier. Ivy's thinking split one of the tire sets up, right sides first, left sides on the next.
Yes, and I would love to talk about that, but why are we missing half of the field?
It's because they all came down pit road again, and they're making their way back around the racetrack.
Okay, that might just extend the caution again. It is going to extend the caution. As you can see, the lights on those pace car, or the lights on that pace car is back on. That is definitely needed from race control there, so I'm glad they caught that as well. And yeah, you talk about the two tires, Nolan, and you know, with the old tire model and the old aero model for this next gen car, 2 tires was definitely something that was a viable strat if a late race caution comes out. However, not only is this not a late race caution, this is a completely different tire model than what it used to be about 5 or 6 months ago. This new tire model wears out the left sides and the right sides so evenly that there's not even really a benefit to only taking right sides instead of taking both the rights and lefts, because both the rights and the lefts now get worn very similarly. So I don't think it's a pace thing. I do think you're right that these drivers are limited on tire sets, and they're doing whatever they can to save them for later in the race.
Because of how the fuel run shook out at the end of stage number 1 there, a good chunk of the field is now tracked the lap down. Thaddeus Root Jr., Samuel Long with Austin Guerrero, Joshua Siegfried, Wayne Graves, Frank Chavez, Jamie Lee Dunley were all forced into pit road. The stage 2 will be coming to a close on lap 145 laps time. As the green flag coming back out this time by, and we're ready to go at it once again as Aaron Longworth leads the way into the restart zone. Green flag is back out, and racing action resumes at Darlington.
Yeah, Aaron Longworth already getting that car single file as TJ Ivy left to fight with the 22 of Robert Tester. And it's a great move down the inside for the 22 Pennzoil machine, I believe it is, to put that 2-2 into the place number 2. And now he's going to look to fight the 42 of Aaron Longworth.
A lot of 2s up here at the front of the field as Aaron Longworth continues to lead the way. Robert Tester just behind him, looking to run him down for the lead of the race. Tester has been doing a pretty good job on just maintaining that pace so far. A big bomb for Aaron Longworth, big corner, opens the door. Robert Tester to the lead in turn 2.
Wow, and your championship leader, your winner at your winner at Daytona International Speedway, Robert Tester takes the lead here on lap 57, and that thing is, you know, he's got the Joey Logano paint scheme on, and he's driving it like he is a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series world champion. So, or not world champion, that's not what they call it in NASCAR, that's what they call it in F1, but you guys know what I mean. He's driving that thing like a 2-time series champion.
Robert Tester, fastest lap of the race so far, and then breaking into the lead of the race, and you just heard Jonathan Dominick's lifted out of the throttle, and that is going to open up the door for another driver to look down the inside. You can see Terrence Murphy just peeking into the window net there and then out the back of the car as he was forced to yield from his machine as well. Dean Howard has had an issue, and Eric Morton has been caught with a black flag for speeding.
Oh no, so Eric Morton had to come down pit lane for whatever reason, gets a black flag that's gonna put him multiple laps down, and then also the 33 Douglas Ivy having to bring that Wrangler blue and yellow machine down to pit road. So a lot of drivers, I don't know if it's they've ran out of fuel or they hit a wall and want to get some damage fixed, but a lot of drivers having to come down pit lane as, oh my gosh.
Well, there's Dean Howard going hard into the outside wall. No caution for that. And there's Douglas. You see Howard sliding down the racetrack, and Ivy's already in the fence.
I'm not too sure what Samuel Longworth was trying to accomplish with that move there on Dean Howard. Is from that angle, Nolan, it just kind of looks like he turned that number 9 Tabasco machine.
And boom, that's the hit that puts Ivy into the inside wall and breaks the left front wishbone. He is forced to come down pit road as a result of his day likely to be over as well. Kenny Kimber, by the way, has still not returned to the racetrack. He was out for the first 15 laps, and it looks like he has decided to call it quits after all, which is a bit of a shame. I was hoping to see him back onto the racetrack. Evidently was not meant to be. Taking a look at the fight between Frank Chavez. Oh, hold on! Oh. Look out as Friel sideways, Chavez sideways, and what a save from both drivers as they step it out on the back straightaway.
And we're synchronized swimming here at Darlington as 3 cars go sideways, essentially completely synchronized here. We're gonna get a good look at it on board with the 98 of the Diaz Friel Jr. And from there we can't, oh, that was with the 33. That was,
yes, it was. That was
a little ways back. Okay.
Yeah, that was the 33s incident. This here is the actual moment where they spun around. Watch this here as, oh my goodness. Talk about a ride. I mean, a fantastic save, right? I mean, that is not something you see every day. Those cars, by all intents and purposes, are junked. And another car that's in trouble, Aaron Longworth sliding backwards in the field as he got out of shape.
I wonder if we can get that view from another front TV camera to kind of look at that synchronized spinning once again, because it looks so clean the way they all, you know, drifted a little bit and then brought the cars back together straight again. I mean, that was insane that I believe it was 3. It could have just been 2, but all 3 of those drivers really did that all in tandem. And here we go. Here's a good look at it. We'll get a nice little slow-mo for you guys.
Take a look as Chavez steps the tail end out. Friel as well. And look at how far sideways those cars broke. We've seen cars get sideways like that and slam into the inside wall. That is incredible that they held it underneath them.
It reminds me of this time I was driving Watkins. I was behind a dude named Jared Kaler, who's a multiple champion in the CIL series, but I was driving Watkins just behind him, and at the bus stop, if you catch a curb just right on this next-gen car, it completely unsettles the rears and turns you around, and I accidentally mirror drove him right over that bump, and we hit a very similar synchronized full 360, and it looked absolutely clean from a top-down camera, but it did kind of ruin both of our races. So it's not a happy synchronized spin, but it is cool to kind of watch 2 next-gen NASCARs go in tandem like that. As well, TJ Ivy, 5th place. I don't know, because he was I'm sorry, I did not mean to cut you off there. But he was in 1st, and after we get down from the replays, he dropped all the way down to 5th. So it's not the best here from TJ Ivy. I don't know what happened to him.
Well, TJ Ivy's on old tires. He's one of the guys only on 2. Yeah. He's been overtaken by drivers that are all on sets of 4s right now. And that's what we're seeing here taking place, right? He's just being overtaken by guys that have just better tires than he does. I mean, he lost that lead several laps ago at this point in time, and he has been trying to hold on to whatever spots he can muster. Further back in the field, David Chevalier, Blake Hull, and Brian Matthews also embroiled in a 3-way fight for 6th, 7th, and 8th. So we still have well over 100 laps to go this afternoon. A lot of the battles starting to break apart early on.
Yeah, we're still early on into the stint, so this is probably still the time where you are going to want to tire save and, not push the car past its limits and not overdrive your machine. But, sometimes track position just matters so much more than all of that. And that's seeming to what is happening here, as the 87 of Blake Hullett has to really back off the gas pedal mid-corner to avoid completely running through the 85 of Dave Shively, who kind of, washed up into the wall a little bit there. And can't quite tell what happened, but the 28s, I believe
Well,
that Bojangles machine just flies by.
Well, once again, Blake Hullett lifted out the
sorry.
throttle there. I mean, this is something that Hullett's been doing, right? I mean, and this is something we've seen a lot today. Whenever drivers get alongside, it's usually in the best interest of the guy on the outside to lift a little bit earlier, because going side by side to these corners, an extremely difficult pass. So more often than not, you're going to be seeing that guy on the outside lifting out just to help facilitate the pass and make sure that you don't ruin your own race. Oh, like that as Chivoli slams into the outside wall. Hullett flies in there as well and plows into the door of the Pennzoil 85, and that results in a side-by-side fight down the Bowen backstretch with Blake Hullett, who's going to back out.
Yeah, I mean, you do bring up a great point. Going side by side here around the lady in black is so difficult. Because as we mentioned, there's only one line to take around Darlington. So trying to get two cars through the corners, it just doesn't really work. Oh,
Just completely lost the back end on the way in, and there you saw Brian Matthews coming in and just absolutely careening into the door as well. Surprised I didn't give Chivoli a meatball flight. Kind of lucked out with that one.
yeah, luckily for these drivers, this is iRacing, not real life. And I will say from firsthand experience, iRacing is much more lenient with damage from contact with walls. So you're able to get away with actually a lot around this track in iRacing. As here we go, a battle for second. Willie Smith on the inside of Terrence Murphy, your winner at the previous race in Michigan International Speedway. But he is going to fall to third here as the 75 gets through. Whoa!
And one car.
Who is that pink car in the back?
Loose on the front straightaway. Unclear who it was. No, it wasn't Jonathan Dominics. I think that'll remain a mystery. But for the time being, Brian Matthews and Blake Hullett remain side by side. Samuel Longwood and Frank Chavez in a bit of a battle here as well. This is all the way back in 17th on the racetrack. We started this race with 28 attempting to qualify. Only 26 actually fully started the race. Only 19 are running still, and only 12 are on the lead lap.
Yeah, the track too tough to tame, living up to its name and full expectations here, as only 12 drivers have been able to tame it out of the original 28s. And yeah, once again, you can see a lot of these drivers, or not a lot of them, but that 28, essentially Brian Matthews, gets a little bit loose on exit there, and you kind of see a lot of that happening to these drivers as they're trying to push the exits to their max. They're trying to see how much pace they can pull out of their car around this track, and you will a lot of the times just see a little bit of swirling, a little wobble from these next gen cars on the exit of these corners. And you know, it does hurt the tires a decent amount if you do it lap after lap after lap, but it happening once or twice is definitely no big deal.
About halfway here through stage number 2, as again that stage drawn to a close at lap 100. TJ Ivy is coming down pit road this time by for service, and the driver of the number 88 will bring his car into the box.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. You mentioned it, I believe he only took rights in his last stop, so maybe he's coming down for a full fuel and 4 tires here, and maybe he's just on a completely different strategy from the rest of these drivers. He's kind of, before the race, picked out where he wants to pit and what laps he wants to do it on. Instead of trying to follow the stage cautions or whatever cautions may come, he's just going to stick to his original plan and pit when he wants to.
You know what? I think I was mistaken when he took 2 tires. I think he may have taken fuel only because he just took 4 tires there. Remember, right, you got to have one of these runs where you're going to have to take a fuel only. I think he took the fuel only run on the lap 1 stage because he knows there's another caution coming up. So he took the fuel only run early, and that is what has just allowed for him to now be able to go on 4 tires for all stops in the end. Unlike some of his competitors, this could be a very, very long-term strategy. Never seen that play for Ivy.
Yeah, and especially we're seeing never mind, I'm not going to say that, but with how the race has been going so far, is what I'll say with these great green flag runs. I definitely think that his strategy, the way if he's kind of manipulating it into his own hands, is really gonna work well for him in the long run. I think the one thing he has to do, Nolan, though, is get back on that lead lap and not get himself trapped a lap down. But he has fresh tires, he has the pace, and if he can do that, he is in a really good position for you know, definitely good points, maybe even a win.
Blake Holland finally fights his way around Brian Matthews. So good effort there for the number 87, up 14 positions so far today. Other battles still on the racetrack. Jason Steptoe in a loose fight with David Shively and Aaron Longworth with a 7/10 deficit back to Jamie Bernhardt, and that gap going to go to over a second now as Bernhardt had to let through past the traffic on fresh tires.
And yeah, going back to TJ Ivey, I am a little curious where he is in correlation to Robert Tester in the 22. So I'm wondering if we can get that the track map back up with the number icons going around, and we can see how far TJ Ivey is off of getting back onto this lead lap, because that is going to be a really, really big talking point here for the 88. Because if he's able to get himself back on the lead lap, doesn't pit at this stage caution at lap 100, that simply just puts him in the lead of the race on a really good strategy. And here it is. That's a lot of ground to make up, Nolan.
Yeah, the 88 right there, TJ Ivey, and he is not on the lead lap. Remember, he is a lap down, so he's at actually more at risk of going 2 laps down if he's not too careful.
Yeah.
So TJ Ivey with a lot of work to do here if he's going to want to pull this gap up and fight his way further forward. So Robert Tester closing in a bit from behind. In fact, there is Tester headed down the front straightaway, so we can actually see Ivey in front of him. While other battles right now are kind of helping to do the work a little bit here for TJ Ivey, as Stephen Blevins is looking to fight his way around Jamie Bernhardt.
Yeah, here we go now, riding on board with that 51 of Stephen Blevins. Gonna drive it in deep to turn 3, swing back out, and hit that V or diamond, whatever you want to call the shape that you do here at Darlington, and attempt a good run down the front straight and into 1 now. But it's not so much Stephen Blevins on the attack of Jamie Bernhardt, more so it is Jamie Bernhardt on the attack of Aaron Longworth, as that battle just ahead of him is seeming to be just a 1/10 of a second. And here we go, Nolan, doing what you said to do, gets the run out of 2 and 0.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
He's
Hold on.
got brake checked.
As cars go around in turn number 3 and 4, Bernhardt up into the outside wall. Aaron Longworth, I think, was coming to pit road, and it may have been a very late call. They're able to make it in there just fine, but boy, scary moment in the back straightaway as we nearly had another caution in the afternoon. Yeah, Longworth was trying to come to pit road, and Bernhardt clearly didn't know about it, and that caused Blevins to run right into the back of the number 12.
Yeah, and that is just really, really weird. I mean, let me say, great stuff from the 14, I believe, to, you know, he got really loose, but was able to straighten his car up on the wall to keep this race green. But oh my gosh, big shove into the back of the 42. You can see it there, how much it upsets his car.
Boy, that's going to create some hot moments. And in fact, Jamie Bernhardt looking like he may very well be done for the day, as he is come down what was the old back straightaway pit road. And oh yeah, look at that right front there. Look at how skewed out that is. That is not a healthy race car. In fact, both front tires are at awkward angles. Look at how far he's turning the wheel here, just trying to keep this car going in a straight line.
It's so done for him. It's watching how he's driving this and looking at how the car is acting, Nolan. He is having a difficult time driving that Mustang right now, and I could not imagine how lengthy the repairs must be to get this 12 back in running order.
I'm shocked he doesn't have a meatball flag at all from that.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
Well, Jason.
Now, yeah, back
oh, no! Now, Brian Matthews shoved to the outside wall by TJ Ivey. That comes right after Jason Steptoe fired past David Shively. Boy, it is all of a sudden a complete pandemonium here at the Widowmaker as drivers scramble left, right, front, and center to try and fight their way around.
It's so insane how every time we cut onto a car, it feels like they get involved in some sort of incident where it's not even customer's curse, it's producer's curse at this point, where if a car is shown, something has to happen to it. And as you brought it up, the Widowmaker definitely making some widows here tonight with how quickly some of these drivers have hit the outside fence. And, you know, when I was looking up some nicknames for this track to call it on air, of course I saw the two we all know, the Lady in Black, the track Too Tough to Tame. I've actually never heard of the Widowmaker, but I definitely made it a point to bring it up because, you know, Noah, I play a lot of Overwatch, and that is actually one of the heroes in Overwatch, so I found it a little bit interesting on the correlation there.
Stephen Blevins and Joshua Siegfried going at it as well. 9th and 10th place, and Siegfried with a very bent up number 2, gonna fight the issue around Stephen Blevins, who was slow on the front straightaway. Joshua Siegfried actually putting in the clutch, entering the corners, trying to conserve a little bit of fuel to try and make the distance at the end of stage 2. David Shively could not go the distance. He comes down pit road, while Robert Tester also clutching, coasting with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of just the move. These cars don't have enough fuel to make it 50 laps, so pitting in between cautions is really awkward unless you're on some insane alternate strategy like TJ Ivy is. The strat is just to save 50 laps of fuel, or not save 50 laps of fuel, but save so you can make 50 laps of fuel. And I assume that's what we saw TJ Ivy doing earlier this race in that first caution. And now we're seeing Robert Tester having to do it here. And I assume the cars behind as well, like Willie Smith, like Terrence Murphy, and, you know, down through the order all the way to 7th. Essentially all those guys that are on the lead lap, which is now only down to 7, Nolan. So it's definitely been pandemonium, as you've said.
No drivers on the lead lap, by the way, are within a second of each other right now. And in fact, nobody at all is within a second of each other, realistically, on the racetrack. Although some fights are close, and then Stephen Blevins is being run down rapidly by TJ Ivy. There goes Ivy, ducking around him on 15 lap pressure, or well, 20 lap pressure tires, and on a virtually undamaged race car as well. So in the dying moments here of stage 2, taking a look at what's coming up here on Greenflight TV. Tomorrow night, the SRA Gen 4 Series is at Richmond. On Sunday night, it's the Blaze Battles ARCA Series at Nashville. And in the afternoons, it's double IndyCar races. Lucas, you're back at the booth twice tomorrow night. Once at Richmond, and then again for the VOR IndyCar Series with a two-pronged race at the Road Atlanta track down in Braselton, Georgia. And then I'm back in the booth on Sunday with the Classic IndyCar Series, taken to the Sebring International Raceway for their final road course race of the season as well. On Monday, the High Tide Racing League Premier Series kicks off another season at the Daytona International Speedway. Season 5 kicks off with the brand new Gen 4 cars. Justin Prince and I in the booth for that one as well. And then on Tuesday, the Mid-Atlantic Racing Series gets set to conquer the Magic Mile up in Loudon, New Hampshire, while the Old Mesero Gold Series, presented by Sim Racer Hub, takes to the Kansas Speedway to get another bout on Tuesday night. All that and more coming up on Greenflight TV. We've got 5 laps to go coming up here in stage 1, Lucas. Stage 2.
Yeah, all good. And yeah, VOR Road Atlanta, that's what I was waiting for. Road Atlanta is by far my favorite racetrack here in America. I've been to it just for the Petit Le Mans a couple weeks ago. I've loved racing on it, a numerous amount of second places. I've raced on it in every single car you could possibly imagine. The Next Gen, the Miata, the Super Formula, the IndyCar, the GT3, the GTP. I mean, any car that you can race in iRacing, I've raced it around that track. I absolutely love it. Cannot wait for tomorrow. So make sure you guys are there, 3 o'clock EDT, 7 GMT. Do not miss out on it.
We could be seeing Robert Tester in trouble here. He has been losing a good chunk of time back to Willie Smith. Look at how much time he's been losing consistently in the last several laps back to Willie Smith, as he has been really putting the clutch to save. But only about 10 laps ago, that was about a 7-second gap that Tester had. That's down to just 2.8 now.
Yeah, I think that he didn't play his numbers perfectly then, and he didn't do enough fuel saving earlier in the run, maybe because he thought there would be a caution. and now it's coming to bite him in the butt. Now he has to do all of that fuel saving he should have the past 48 laps and do it all in the span of 5, which just really slows down your pace, having to clutch into the corner, stay in 5th gear the entire way around the track, and a lot of lifting and coasting has brought that gap from 7 all the way down to 3 seconds, as you were saying.
Well, the good news is Willie Smith right behind him has got to do similar as well, so he is very much going to be able to still run away with this for the looks of things with 2 laps to go. As into pit road comes Jason Steptoe. And now for Robert Tester, he'll look toward the Darlington Raceway for the final time, this time through for stage 2.
Yeah, and this is going to be really interesting. We have a lot of cars exactly 1 lap down. So I'm curious who's going to get the wave around and who's not going to get the wave around. Because what it's looking like, Nolan, is that all of those guys that are just 1 lap down, surely the first 5 runners in this race have to come down pit lane, which would mean that places 6 through 16, they would all get 1 wave around and get at least 1 of their laps back. But you never know if someone decides to stay out or iRacing just does something weird with the laps. It's going to be weird for these guys to lap down, and some of them just might get stuck.
Coming off of turn number 4, Robert Tester with the win in stage number 2. Willie Smith will come home 2nd, and a long way back. It's going to be Terrence Murphy, who will be 3rd right about there. And right behind him is Jonathan Dominics and Blake Hullett. The final car on the lead lap back in 5th, meaning Brian Matthews, Austin Guerrero, TJ Ivey, Joshua Siegfried, and Thaddeus Friel Jr. will be the drivers at the end of stage number 2. And just now, it's finally brought to a close. Bit of a late pull on the caution flag there, but stage 2 officially draws to a close this afternoon, and we will once again look to take a step back and be back with more in a moment on Green Flag TV as stage 3 is not far off.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
At Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion for racing.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Racing action set to kick off in just a few more moments here. The Darlington Raceway. Stage 3 is underway. Robert Tester, the driver that takes the win in stage number 2, is going to be the contender that takes fuel only on this pit stop, as quite a number of stops still underway for drivers up and down all throughout the grid, mostly for cars now that finish those stages laps down and that, frankly, don't have much in the way of hope that they're going to be able to do much here late in the running. It's going to look to be a pretty brutal night for a lot of drivers all the way through. We are already down to only having 7 cars in the lead lap. And critically here, I want to point out, Brian Matthews just manages to beat the pace car out of pit road. And he's going to be out there. TJ Ivey actually stayed out to get a lap back.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed a lot of these guys track lap down would do is, you know, the only way to get a lap back, or the easiest way to get a lap back, I should say, is by getting a wave round under caution. So it does make sense that the 88 stayed out. I also think it makes sense for his strategy. As, remember, he pit on lap 78 last, so he still has a decent bit of fuel in that car, and he still has pretty fresh tires. And now we have to think, Nolan, that every single one of these drivers that pit here at the stage caution 100% have to make at least one more stop. And TJ Ivy might just do that stop a little bit earlier than the rest, find an undercut, find some track position, and might try to win the race that way. So definitely TJ Ivy on an alternate strategy from the entire rest of the field, but it's one that I'm really curious to see how it plays out and see if it is going to be effective to bring him a win here.
You see the field getting themselves sorted down to the tail end of this one. Drivers that have retired out of this race include Riley Watts, Keenan Kimber, Daniel Molinari, Ethan Farless, Douglas Ivy, and potentially most recently Thaddeus Furriel Jr. and Stephen Blevins, unless they can both make their way back out onto the racetrack as well. But that will leave just 19 cars that will take to the green flag. In the next few weeks here on Green Flag TV, it's Atlanta Motor Speedway coming up next week, then the Richmond Raceway the week after, and then our third Crown Jewel event at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on November 21st.
Yeah, so a lot of really good races here in the Zero Torque Racing League, and just a really good schedule. Nonetheless, of course, we have 12 races in the regular season, and then 4 rounds of playoffs, which are 3 rounds each, and of course, the one final championship race. It's going to be a great long season, so make sure you guys tune in every Friday night at 8 to watch the rest of it.
Coming to the green flag once again, this time by Robert Tester. Jumps early in the restart zone. Willie Smith spins the tires. The green flag is out, though. And the field, single file all the way back into turn number 1.
That had to have been the longest inside line I have ever seen on a restart here. That was absolutely insane to look at, as only 3 cars started this race on the outside line, and I guess that makes sense. If you only have 7 cars on the lead lap, there's only 3 cars that actually get to start on the outside line. Everybody else being a lap down, forced to start on the inside, and no chaos here in this restart because everybody was single file.
Well, you say that. Wayne Graves up into the outside wall, and he's going to drop all the way back to the tail end of this one, letting drivers through down on the inside as Robert Tester leads the way. Willie Smith right behind him by about 0.3 of a second. And could seat to close the gap. Terrence Murphy, Blake Holland, and Jonathan Dominic's all suddenly lapping all within striking distance if something goes awry for the top 2.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times of what I talk about, where, you know, if you're the 3rd car or 4th car back in a battle, a lot of the times you don't want to or have to fight the 2nd car in the battle. You just want to let them, the 2 cars ahead of you, go at it from each other. You know, see if they can force each other into this mistake. See if you can find your window of opportunity to strike. And that's the 98s. That Mac Vidar 98 machine of Thaddeus Furriel Jr. all the way down on the inside of the track. Is he coming down pit road, Nolan?
He is, and it is for a penalty for an unsafe pit exit. He drifted up a bit too quickly above the line before the blue cone dictated that he could, so he is going to be forced back down pit road to serve said penalty, while other contenders remain in lockstep headed down the back straightaway. Oh, man, Willie Smith nearly into the back of Robert Tester there in 3.
Yeah, Willie Smith, not one of these drivers that has locked himself in to the playoffs just quite yet, so he's going to be fighting for this win here today, especially knowing Robert Tester, he's already got the win. You know, of course you want to win more, get playoff points, or just, you know, the thrill of winning is definitely something that these racers are chasing. Willie Smith, not locked in, he's going to want this win a lot more than that 22 machine.
Smith maintaining the strong run here in the 2nd place spot, while Terrence Murphy has not been faltering either, back in 3rd. Behind, David Shively and Jason Steptoe exchanging blows as Austin Guerrero gets through. Jamie Lee Dunning coming to pit road at lap 26, and that's about right on cue. Ryan coming down to get fresh 4 tires after taking fuel only.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense for the 54 machine of Jamie Lee Dunning, as I believe you're talking about, coming down pit road. And I kind of remember Stage 1 where he made so many positions so quickly and showed to have a lot of promise and a lot of pace in this race. It's kind of sad to see that he got victim of some unfortunate circumstances, some crashes that happened later or earlier in the race, and that he's kind of not been able to fight with these guys here at the top, because I do believe he had the pace to make his way up to this podium position battle. And speaking of battle, 75, Willie Smith takes the inside on the exit of 4 and will take the lead of this race.
Maybe not for long, though, because here comes Tessa fighting back. Caution is out, though. They're not going to be able to fight this one out, as Eric Morton has gone around to the back straightaway. He is joined by Dean Howard, who has also gone around at the tail end of this one. So Dean Howard with a meatball flag now as a result, and well, it's going to be that number 9 that sees us under the caution flag once more. Take a look on what happens.
I wonder, did he have some help, or is he's just running? Oh, okay, so here we go. Eric Morton's already in the wall, and there it is.
Got hit by Wayne Graves, spins him up the racetrack into the outside wall, and then along comes Howard, nowhere to go, and plows right into the right front. They both spin down to the inside.
Yeah, nowhere to go. And also, we talked about it, exit to turn 2, you're carrying so much speed, so much momentum out of that corner. Any excess input on the steering wheel, whether it be left or right, can get that thing loose instantly. So even if he had somewhere to go, if he tries to turn that wheel, Nolan, he's ending up in the wall no matter what.
Yeah, tough break. Tough break for him.
Although it looks like the damage isn't too bad on that number 9 machine.
Well,
we'll get it on board here.
It's unfortunately bad enough to warrant a meatball flag.
Oh, no. Okay, it's very bad. I lied.
Boom. Man,
oh, yeah.
That is. It doesn't look so bad for the TV camera, but you go on board and it tells a very different story.
I mean, yeah, you think back to some of the other generations of NASCAR, maybe the less safe ones, and that one's definitely making a widow for sure. It is a huge contact, not only for the number 9, but the 07 as well. You think about how scary that must be for the driver of that machine. Or sorry, not the 07, the 4.
Boy, that is a brutal impact.
Yeah, has to bring it down to pit road, sort of that meatball, as you talked about. And usually if you have a meatball flag here in iRacing, that's a lot of not only required damage, but optional as well. He will probably be in the pit lanes for at least 10 to 15 minutes if he wants to get that thing back on track. But nevertheless, the lights in that pace car are off, and you guys know what that means. That means we are 1 to go green here again. And for the first time this race, it will be the 75 leading us to that green flag.
Well, looking for the green flag this time by 8 cars down the lead lap. That yellow flag is saving grace for Austin Guerrero, who is able to get back onto the lead laps. I'm sure he's not complaining about seeing some struggles for the field. 70 laps the distance. When we return to the green flag, this time by Robert Tester, will be to the outside. So Smith did indeed hold on to the lead when the yellow flag came out and was credited with it at the time of the caution. The green flag will be out this time. And racing action resumes here at Darlington.
Yeah, and a great start from the leader of Willie Smith. Once again, iRacing allows the leader to control the restarts, go whenever he wants, and that usually just gives the leader a great jump here. But oh my gosh, Robert Tester in the 22 machine not only gets a great run on Terrence Murphy, but almost looked like he could challenge the 75 of Willie Smith, but my eyes completely deceived me as Willie Smith gets a nice gap, and Eric Morton in the back of the field once again having some struggles there on the exit of 2.
Dean Howard has unfortunately taken his car back to the garage, so it is official. We will not be seeing Howard back out onto the racetrack after that huge hit over in turn 2 just a few laps ago. Meanwhile, Tester and Terrence Murphy continue to battle this one out as Tester down the inside, Murphy up on the top side. A 10.5 between them as Murphy seeks to push clear down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. Willie Smith again resetting the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, that leader usually just the one that has that quickest lap because he has no dirty air, but don't mind that right now because it's Terrence Murphy inside of Robert Tester. The 5 on the 22. The 5 gets it done into 3. Now, by the time they reach the exit of 4, he will be more than a car width clear of Robert Tester and take that start-finish line in second place here, 7/10 behind Willie Smith in that lead position.
TJ Ivey and Blake Hullett going to remain tight to the back end of one another as Hullett tracking up and almost into the back end of TJ Ivey that time through. Blake Hullett trying to make a look here as Ivey going to go defensive. Remember, TJ Ivey taking advantage of the yellow flag to try to get back into the lead lap, ducks to the inside, and he's going to let Hullett back through, and Ivey will be coming down pit road within the next 5 laps or so.
Oh, he might come down pit road sooner than that if he continues to get loose like that on the exit 2, as he might put that thing in a wall if he's not careful. But yeah, you said it, he, I believe, hasn't taken fuel since around lap 78 last time he pit. So yeah, very soon he's gonna have to bring that thing down to pit road. And when he gets out, if he doesn't want to have to pit again, Nolan, he is going to have to do a lot of fuel saving in that 88 machine. He's gonna have to do a lot of fuel saving now here too to see if he can extend this stint for as long as possible. Now, here we have the battle for 12th. That is Samuel Longworth, Aaron Longworth. I got confused by the Longworths there. And just behind the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. is actually 8 laps down. So he's not a part of this battle at all. And I'm just getting completely confused by the amount of chaos and the amount of action that we have here at Darlington.
Jamie Lee Dunnigan to lose yet more position, so a tough break for the conqueror of the Monster Mile, as he is going to slip back to 18th now, and in fact is 3 laps away as well from losing another spot back to Jamin Bernhard as well. Battle starting to very quickly separate out here at the Darlington Raceway. Not a lot between 7 drivers. Jonathan Dominics is seeking to close the gap in on Blake Hullett further up the grid. You've also got Samuel Longworth still looking to pressure his brother Aaron as well. And in fact, Samuel's got a run as Aaron Longworth gets cut off, or gets in a bit there with Thaddeus Friel Jr. And now, Samuel not going for the move. He's just going to go for here in turn 3 instead. And he's into the wall as his brother turns him up into the outside fence. Caution's out again.
Brother on brother contact. It's Genji versus Hanzo all over again, as a 7 of the 42 make devastating contact here on the entrance of 3. And I don't know what happened there. I think just some confusion with the lap car of the 98 getting involved, maybe, but you can't put that one on the 98, not at all. He made his way through fairly and cleanly.
Taking another look here again as Samuel Longworth dives to the inside of Aaron, and Aaron got to the wall, and let's be honest, Samuel Longworth just didn't leave him space. Samuel did that to himself because Aaron was in the outside wall, and Samuel still got turned across the nose.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You literally can't go farther to the outside of the track than the wall. So yeah, the 7 of Samuel Longworth just washed up a little bit too much, and that is what created the contact, and that is devastating for these brothers to make contact here, because I have a brother of my own. I don't know if you do, Nolan, but we get along pretty well now. We didn't when we were younger, but a contact like that in racing, we would be fighting about it for ages and ages. I cannot lie.
Take another look at this one here again as Samuel dives it in and just runs Aaron up into the outside wall, and can't really blame a loud car on that one. I mean, that was Sammy doing that all to himself. A bunch of cars coming down pit road now, and a lot of drivers are going to use this to get back on cycle. Who this helps the most? TJ Ivy, right? On a 50-lap stint now. This finally gets him back on cycle with the rest of the leaders.
Yeah, not only that, but this is the last stop that a lot of these drivers have to make if they fuel save, Nolan.
No.
So yeah, that's the question.
Not quite.
Do you think?
Even with fuel saving drivers, didn't make it to 50. There's no way they're making it to 60. No way.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If I was in a race here, with how chaotic it's been and with how little cars there are actually on the lead lap, I would take the risk in fuel save and see if I can make it to the end without stopping again. Because you know, TJ Ivy did make it a pretty comfortable 50 laps from what I saw. So I don't think 60's out of the question, but I think it's much more fun if you disagree.
Well, the field getting set to return to green flag racing before too long. Willie Smith will be the race leader. Look at how many cars have stayed out as well, just trying to get a lap back, right? Eric Morton, Joshua Siegfried, Blake Hullett. In fact, Blake Hullett just leaving pit road. He is just going to be able to beat the pace car, while Josh Siegfried and Jonathan Dominique are fresh out of pit road as well. But quite a few contenders to look to battle their way on through as we're set to go green flag racing again.
Yeah, and once again, it will be Willie Smith leading this pack here. And with those, yeah, as you said, the lights on that pace car off, it'll be very shortly. And once again, it is absolutely chaos as nobody is on that outside line whatsoever. And we only have about half of the field here as the other half had to come down pit road. We're fixing damage for as long as possible, and they'll slowly file their way into this pack. And because a lot of the drivers here have not caught up to the main pack, the light snow's pace car turned back on, and race control has once again extended the caution by a lap.
So fight set to go at it. 57 laps will be the distance here. We made it through stages 1 and 2 pretty clean, but ever since then, we've been racking the cautions up here in the third and final stage of the night. But hey, it keeps the action tight, right? And I think a lot of this is some of that fatigue of such a long race starting to settle in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point you bring up. Not only are our voices going to get a little bit fatigued up here in the booth, but the hands, the feet, the minds of these drivers are all going to get fatigued as well. And yeah, that's going to just cause you to lose focus a little bit easier, you know, cause maybe even a little bit of pain in your hands or your feet. So just, yeah, very tough, very endurance-y with how long this race is, and just trying to keep your focus for all 185 laps, not losing focus for an instant, no one or lesser in the wall, is not easy at all, and is a difficult task for these guys. But here we go, the pace car now into pit lane, and you can take it away for the restart.
Darlington Raceway, always a demanding racetrack, requiring peak concentration, as you say, at every point. Green fly back in the air. Some drivers already moving up to the outside to avoid the inside lane checkup. Smith is going to get clear down to the turn number 1. A split decision on tires once again. Smith, Murphy, Ivy, Matthews on fuel only. Tester, the first car on 4. Expect to see him power to the front before too long.
Yeah, not only does that 22 have 4 fresh tires, like you said, but he also has a lot of pace. The winner of our second stage led essentially every lap of that second stage as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to cut through these older tire runners very, very quickly, very, very smoothly. And I would be surprised, honestly, Nolan, if Willie, Terrence, or TJ, of course, Smith, Murphy, or Ivy put up much of a fight with Robert Tester here. As you can see, the 88 just moving out of TJ Ivy's way, knowing that he has no pace to battle the 22 right now.
TJ Ivy tracking up from the back of the field as well as they fight their way down the front straightaway into turn numbers 1 and 2. Robert Tester trying to close the back of Terrence Murphy. Fastest lap of the race that time by for Robert Tester. Jonathan Dominic's behind as well, also trying to fire his way back to the point, as you see him now running back in the 6th place spot, trying to go to 5th. Joshua Siegfried looking to attack Austin Guerrero as well. And Guerrero's turned sideways into turn number 3, hard into the outside wall. Caution is out again.
Wow, these drivers are really getting chaotic here. It's the 3rd and final stage. It's 55 to go, and these drivers are pushing every last drop out of that car for position, and a very, very clean race up to this point is starting to turn completely chaotic. As let's take a look at what happened here. I believe that's the 33 on the inside of the 24. Oh, not 30, the 2, sorry.
Siegfried just turned him. Just drifted right up into him and puts him hard into the outside wall. Tough break for the 24 car. It was just coming out here trying to get associated with the field right, trying to have a good night, and not the way the rookie was hoping to have this race go.
Yeah, and we'll view it one more time here. Of course, this is into turn 3, so it is a corner where a lot of people dive bomb, but just maybe a little too late for Joshua Siegfried, and yet big contact, as we are all seeing there. And I hope that Austin Guerrero is okay, and I hope that 24 machine is okay as well. And it's got a lot of scratches on that left side, but maybe, just maybe, he can get that Chevrolet Camaro back up and running with a little bit of repairs.
Well, the field coming down pit road, and Austin Guerrero Jr. going to be in there for a while at this point in time. As here we go. It's going to be yet another restart here this afternoon. Let's see if we can't get in touch with one of the drivers here that had the problems underneath the pace car. We'll bring up the driver having his ZTRL debut, coming to an unfortunate end here. Austin, a tough hit into the outside wall. Is the car done for, or are you going to get back out there by the end of the night?
Yeah, no, I'm done for the night.
Well, tough break for you. I know this was not the way you were hoping to have a debut go for you. You were running good all night long. All these considered, the performance up to now was not a bad one. What hopes do you have for the remainder of the season from here?
Just stay running hard. Hopefully just keep finishing, or I should say, let's start with finishing a race next week, I guess.
Well, the field going to get set to go before too long, and obviously a tough way to end the race for you, and we'll wish you the best of luck when we return to racing action next week, and hopefully a better performance that time around as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Austin Guerrero will unfortunately finish his race on a hauler after a harsh impact into the wall up in turn 3. And we're about to go 1 to green here once again here, Lucas.
Yeah, it is just a really rough end of the night for him, as we've said multiple times, and it's kind of what's happened to a lot of these drivers, just really rough ends, getting involved in accidents that they really couldn't, have a lot of say in, just arrived to the scene carrying too much speed with nowhere to go, and unfortunately that's going to claim another driver. And here we go, Terrence Murphy gonna start, or gonna take the lead for this green flag run, and we do think that we're 1 to go until the caution, or until the lights on that pace car turn it back on. We're gonna go 1 more lap around, but Terrence Murphy, who actually qualified on pole now, Nolan, gets to actually start from first, as remember, he started this race from the back due to penalties gotten earlier this week. So Terrence Murphy versus Robert Tester versus TJ Ivy, probably your 3 quickest drivers out here today. Up in first, second of third, and then of course in 4th position, Blake Hewlett, or Hewlett, I can't remember how to say that, I can't lie, but the 87, who has just been doing a great job of keeping his nose clean, staying out of trouble, keeping up the pace, and he's found his way up into 4th place, so great run for all 4 of these drivers.
8 cars still remain on the lead lap. David Shively, if he stays out of, if we get another yellow flag, David Shively would be the next one in line. He is the only car that is 1 lap down. Frank Chavez stepped to Longworth and Guerrero now 2 or more laps down for everybody else back through the field. Field coming at it once again as we get set to take it back to the green flag. Green flag in the air, race and action resumes.
And Terrence Murphy now with his chance to start from the front. Gets a great start for himself. Eric Morton actually with the black flag. But with that car in pit road, I don't know if we're going to see that 4 machine back on the racetrack again anyways. And yeah, we're already single file here, except for one battle that appeared to be happening all the way back in 12th and 11th in that area. But Robert Tester actually getting a little feisty. Now side by side down the main straight. He has the front quarter panel, sending it into 1, Nolan.
Oh, and Murphy hard to the outside wall as he rebounds off the door. Robert Tester tries to drive through down to the inside as well. And so we fire down the back straightaway and in towards turn number 3 as Jonathan Dominics as well looking to put pressure on Brian Matthews while Robert Tester opening up a 3/4 second gap for the lead.
Yeah, Tester, I believe, still on those fresher tires. Definitely still has much more pace than the guys behind simply for that reason alone. And I think Robert Tester is going for the strategy of just pushing that thing to its absolute limit for 25 or so laps, bringing it back down pit road, and then pushing again for 25 more laps. He has thrown tire saving out the window. He has thrown fuel saving out the window. And his strategy now is just to see how much of a gap he can pull on the cars behind and how quickly he can do so. Because TJ Ivey, Terrence Murphy, they're probably going to play more of a saving game. Maybe they can make it to the end on fuel. Maybe they can extend this set of tires out to the end of the race, but Tester's doing the complete opposite, and that's showing right here.
A 1 second advantage, well, about 9/10 of a second advantage at the very least. Blake Collett right behind, closing down the gap to TJ Ivey at the head of the field. Again, a 3/10 of a second advantage up to Blake Hullett here. 2/10 now between the two. And, you know, Blake's trying his best, but TJ Ivey is a tough cookie to crack. We've seen that a lot today. And TJ Ivey, you know, he had to fight his way back from being off cycle, a lap down, at risk going 2 laps down. The fact that he's up here fighting for podium spots is nothing short of incredible, the fact that he's managed to power through it.
Yeah, and TJ Ivey is one of these drivers that would really, really appreciate a win here today. Sitting 20th in the standings, a third would do absolutely momentous things for his standings, of course, but the win, solidifying yourself into the playoffs, I mean, what is better than that? Absolutely nothing. So, you know, being, you know, on the back side, on essentially the back foot of this point standings, he's definitely going to look for a win here today. But 2.5 seconds back off of Tester and a second back off of Murphy. He's going to have to find something in that car that he has not found just yet.
Behind Willie Smith, Brian Matthews, and Jonathan Dominics. Running back in 5th, 6th, and 7th as they track their way through into the 3rd and 4th quarters of the racetrack. Headed back down the front straightaway, Willie Smith maintaining a strong run to the head of the field. Matthews, oh boy, hold on. Looking to the inside, and I thought he was going to run over the back of Smith, forced to back out of this one, but the Hardy's number 28 still powering strong despite all the damage on the right side of the car.
Yeah, but that makes me almost wonder, when you have that much damage on the right side of the car and you're able to keep a pace as good as Brian Matthews is here right now, it almost makes me wonder, how much is he using those tires? Is he burning them out too much? Is he gonna completely fall off by the time this race comes to an end? And that's honestly what I'm thinking. The fact he's able to keep up with the 75 of Willie Smith, who we know has been quick all day, makes me wonder. And yeah, He is overdriving the absolute crap out of that car. It shows right there as he gets up into the wall. Not only is Jonathan Dominic's going to get through, but it's going to be the 50 as well. Jason Steptoe getting through even though he's a lap down. And yeah, the 28 of Brian Matthews just really pushing that thing to its limit and not able to keep up with the 75 anymore.
Well, Brian Matthews started to drop back. Some drivers are, of course, started to get split apart as lap traffic fights their back into the mix. 40 laps the distance. Frank Chavez was fighting with Jason Steptoe, although with a big bobble out of turn 2, he is forced to back out. Can Jonathan Dominics potentially make up any ground on Willie Smith up the road?
We get definitely potentially. The 45 is a driver that we've seen really just kind of like hanging out around this 6th through 8th position here. You know, not making too many moves, just driving his own race, doing what he has to do to keep his nose clean. Very similar to what Blake Hewlett, was doing earlier this race. So maybe this is his time. No one push those tires out, drive that car, show the pace that you've been hiding this entire race, and start to make up some positions here late in this race. And I haven't been watching the gaps too closely, but it currently is just hovering around 5 to 6 tenths. So we'll see if that drops within the coming laps. And it already has dropped a tenth, as 4 tenths now and counting. You just might be right, Nolan. The 45 and the 75 might be a battle that we see very soon here.
So Jonathan Dominics going to continue to power up to the back of Willie Smith. Joshua Siegfried as well, seeking to close into the back of Brian Matthews, who's just a little ways up the field as well. Hold on, Frank Chavez sideways. Back straightaway, he is able to pull it up though. So no harm, no foul for Frank Chavez, as a lot of drivers putting in the clutch, I think, trying to pull off that fuel strategy.
I need to see a replay of that, because how did he keep that 23 machine out of the inside wall? That looked like one of the biggest slides that I've ever seen in a next-gen car. That was insane, that he's not only able to keep it off the inside wall, but also recover and get back on track and still keep up with some pace here. So just great stuff there from the 23 of Frank Chavez, not completely ruining his night and fitting that car into the wall.
Three-tenths of a second still remain between the 28 and the 2. Boy, Siegfried is really trying to give it the beans here to chase down Brian Matthews. The problem is he has never really been in a position to be able to properly fight for the spot. TJ Ivey coming down pit road, could not go the distance, and he decides, I'm going to bail out early, try to get a fresh tires.
Yep, and I stand corrected. Nolan once again showing that he is much smarter than me, gets it right. There was no way that TJ Ivey could have ever made that. That's what Nolan was saying. I was saying maybe otherwise, and in the end, it's going to be Nolan J. Rempel that is right. And TJ Ivey now going for the undercut on the rest of these drivers, which is a great strategy to get some track position and maybe win this race. The risk, however, Nolan, is if a caution comes out before the end of the race or before the other drivers have to pit, you're just abandoned a lap down and your race really takes a toll for the worse. But hopefully we can stay green, and I probably just jinxed it, but if we are, TJ Ivey is looking at a great position with the great undercut to probably finish in the podium here tonight.
Siegfried officially fights his way past Brian Matthews, and that will lead to this fight drawing to a close, unless Siegfried can manage to... Well, in fact, Siegfried has actually closed up to the back of Jonathan Dominics. Now, tell you what, for how bent up that number 2 car is, he is really putting in a lot of effort here. I mean, look at how destroyed the right front is, and despite that, a lot of pace under Siegfried as he gets around Jonathan Dominics.
Yeah, and we talked about it that, you know, if you have a little bit of damage, what am I trying to say? If you have a lot of damage and you're still able to find this speed, maybe that means you're pushing your tires out too much. But I mean, Joshua Siegfried able to keep up this pace pretty well. And even, oh no, he's actually 5th place, sorry. He's been doing a great job here driving that thing with damaged car. And 87 now, looking to come down to pit lane as well. It's Blake Hewlett, who was in 4th place. This one now dropping back, but maybe he's following TJ Ivy in that undercut strategy and gonna come down, take some 4 tires, fill up on fuel as well.
Siegfried continues to make up ground as he fights his way past Jonathan Dominics, and well, this number 2 car is really looking to be flying here. He's got 6.4 seconds to work up to the back of Willie Smith.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but you know, I like to place my bets in the aggressors, I should say. I like to place my bets in the people trying to make their way through the field, because it always makes the end of the races more interesting. It always makes the casting a little bit more interesting if I try to, you know, hype up the person catching down the leader. So I'll always be placing my bets in the undercut in TJ Ivy and Blake Hewlett, who are going for this more aggressive strategy, because, you know, who doesn't love a good old race for the lead? Somebody pits for new tires, somebody stays out, you have to catch them down lap after lap after lap. They're gaining. Will there be a battle by the last lap? You can only hope so. And of course, here tonight, I'm gonna hope the exact same.
Under 20 laps to go here this afternoon for the Darlington Raceway, and as time continues to slip away, so does the laps from this race. Let's ride on board with Terrence Murphy for a few as he tries to run down Robert Tasser for the lead of the race, as we will feel the noise on Green Flag TV. A change for the race lead as Robert Tester comes down pit road and Terrence Murphy is in just behind him. So here is going to be the fight now for the top spot. Tester will be the first one in, and we'll see where Terrence Murphy comes out in relation to him. There's about a 1.2 second gap. Of course, Tester came down immediately after striking the outside wall. There is the look at Tester going around the racetrack. Murphy is in pit road. Tester just got back to the lead lap, so he has to go all the way around before picking up the net race lead here.
Yeah, the other interesting thing I noticed about Robert Tester's pit stop is he only took right side tires, only taking 2, minimizing the amount of time he stopped stationary in his pit box. And Terrence Murphy taking 4 tires there. Because of that, Robert Tester definitely will come out ahead of that 5 machine, and ahead by a decent margin as it seems here. But now Terrence Murphy, it's his job to warm up those 4 Goodyear tires and see if he can use the fact that he has a fresh set of lefts compared to Robert's old lefts to see if he can make up that time and put a battle for the lead on late in this race.
Now, critically here, Robert Tester, like you say, 2 tires. In fact, nope, Tester did take 4 tires, right? 13.7 seconds in the box. But Murphy's tires are 3 laps fresher. So he's going to be able to use that to his advantage here to try and run the gap down. But we'll see if how much the gap's actually going to come down. Tester does have some lap traps, going to have to fight his way around. Brian Matthews, the car he's just in front of now. Jonathan Dominics, we were looking at that fight too, closing in on the on Joshua Siegfried as well, and trying to, I think, not so much overtake, but more maintain distance here, because Dominics has been closing within the 10th and a half of Siegfried, but he keeps backing off on corner entry.
So what that makes me think, Nolan, is fuel saving. I don't quite remember the last time that Jonathan Dominics has pitted, but if he's lifting off in the beginning of the corner like that, it does make me really curious about if he thinks he can get that thing to the end without stopping again, which would effectively place him in the lead of this race, assuming that everybody else around him does have to come down pit road for one final stop. And I'm almost wondering if we can get on board and see if he's holding the clutch in the middle of that corner. Yeah, once again, you're right, backs off, does not attack the 2 machine of Joshua Siegfried.
Oh, he might not have a choice here, though, as Siegfried scrapes the outside wall. There goes Jonathan Dominics. He's going to shoot through into 2nd place. So Dominics gets through. Siegfried trying to maybe think about an over-under. Decides against it, though. Does not go for a crossover back into turn 3. Eric Mortensen coming down pit road this time. No, he's not coming down pit road. He's staying out. He's just getting up and out of the way.
Yeah, and now Jonathan Dominics does have this position on Joshua Siegfried, moving him up into 2nd place of this race right now, even though it's definitely not a net 2nd place. You think about net, that puts TJ Ivey, Terrence Murphy, Robert Tester ahead of all of these guys here. Of course, and matter of fact, Robert Tester back on lead lap and just in the background of that camera shot there. So he is closing rapidly here on Jonathan Dominics. So even if he's able to keep this car out of the pit lane to the end of this race, can he keep the car in front of this 22 machine? It'll be difficult, but I really, really hope that Jonathan Dominics can make this. I'm gonna call it a 1 stop. I know probably a 2 stop, but essentially, let's see if he can make this strategy work of extending this final stint.
And Eric Morton is going to be forced down pit road for a mechanical black flag. The tires have finally fallen off of the number 4 as he is going to be brought down pit road abruptly. Tough break for Eric Morton. He was trying to see if he can hold on to the tires as long as he could, but eventually they wear it down to the point where iRacing has no choice but to force you down pit road, and if you don't obey that order, well, you get disqualified. So he made the right call to come down to the pits.
I'm gonna be so honest with you, Nolan. In my entire, 2.5 years of playing iRacing now, of casting iRacing, whatever it may be, I don't know if I've seen a black flag for a blown tire. As Robert Tester making that move look absolutely butter smooth on Joshua Siegfried, and I assume nothing but the same for the move on Jonathan Dominic's as here, or on Jonathan Dominic's here, as well as, yeah, puts that car in the inside, gets the position by the middle of 3, and by the exit of 4, he'll have a very decent gap to that bright pink 45 machine. But going back to that blown tire, that's something that very rarely occurs here in iRacing, just because it rarely comes up where you have to be on a set of tires for as long as Eric Morton there was. But at a track like Darlington, I 100% get it.
Critically, Terrence Murphy has been running down Robert Tester. The gap was up to 4 seconds, remember. Now it is down to just 2.4. So right now, as it stands, Terrence Murphy is looking set to catch Robert Tester before the end of this race. The fight for the lead is not over with 9 laps to go. We could very well have a race fight for the lead on our hands still. That is reliant, though, on Murphy making short work of Jonathan Dominics when he gets to him.
Yeah, we saw Tester being able to make short work. Murphy in that 5 able to do the exact same thing as well. And we talk about the fight for the lead being between the 5 and the 22. We forget that Willie Smith is still in the driver's seat of this race. With 8 to go, 7.5 seconds ahead of Robert Tester, and Robert Tester closing that gap in by about a second a lap. I don't think that Willie Smith can hang on to it as much as I would like him to. But it seems like he might have the field to take this thing to the end. So at least a good podium position here for the 75, which will definitely cement a really, really good position in the championship, as he's currently sitting 5th. A good podium will definitely move him up to 3rd or 4th and just have an amazing start for the season here for the 75. And, you know, top 16 make it to the playoffs. Being in 3rd or 4th, 4 races in, is definitely where you want to be.
Problem is, Smith has been out there for 46 laps, and I still do not believe that Smith can make it to the end of this race. So while he's clutching and coasting, I am still expecting to see Willie Smith coming down pit road. Even still, right? I mean, let's say for reference's sake that this is something that he could potentially try to pull off. Let's say he can make it to the end of this race. Tesla's closing over a second a lap. He's catching for the end of the race regardless. Smith does not win this race no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was hinting to a little bit. As much as I would love to see the 75 lock himself into the playoffs, just so we have a different winner, because of course Tester winning Daytona is already locked in. I mean, look at those gaps, 1.1, 1.6 a lap. It is nearly impossible, it seems like, unless Nolan, 0.3, only 0.3 of a second gained on that last lap. Did something happen to Robert Tester?
Maybe hit the wall, but I think overall looking to be relatively calm and smooth sailing here for the time being.
He's losing time. This, what?
Or perhaps he underfueled the car. Maybe Willie Smith hit the number. Smith right now coming around. He's going to start the 50th lap of his run. He is still putting in the clutch, still coasting. He might be trying to get some gas in. He might be trying to manage the gap here. 3 laps to distance. Can Willie Smith pull it off?
I think Robert Tester hit the wall too hard, gave himself some wheel damage, gave himself some aero damage, and just completely killed the pace on that number 22 machine. Because not only is he not catching up to Willie Smith, he's falling back a little bit from Willie Smith and even letting Terrence Murphy start to close in on him. So Robert Tester, it looked like this race was his, but Nolan, one mistake can completely ruin your chance at having a race win. He drove 180 flawless laps, but just one bad one puts him in 2nd place.
A lap and a half to go for Willie Smith as he cruises into turn numbers 3 and 4. He is no longer put in the clutch. It looks like Smith has somehow managed to hit the number. Shively going to pull to the inside, let Smith through. White flag is out. 1 lap to go here from the track 2 Tough to Tame. Smith down the back straightaway for the final time. Tester, where has the pace gone for the number 22? We'll have to ask him about that post-race as so what the heck happened, but Smith unopposed out of turn 4. He tames the lady in black. Willie Smith locks himself into the playoffs.
What a race for the 75. Robert Tester will bring it home in second, Terrence Murphy in third, and TJ Ivey, of course, your winner of the first stage, bringing that 88 machine home in fourth. And to wrap out your top 5, it is Joshua Siegfried in that number 2. But the focus of the night is on that black and teal 75 machine of Willie Smith. Look at all in all of its lightning glory. That is your winner here tonight. Absolutely deserved with a great fuel strategy. I was thinking it might just be able to be pulled off that 60 lap fuel saving stint. Nolan thought it probably wasn't be able to. Even I thought that it was just over for anyone that tried to save fuel, but it wasn't. The 75 did it here tonight, and he will be the one celebrating in victory lane.
And I don't think that car has the fuel for a burnout either, so I think that is going to be game over for Willie Smith. He'll try. He will have just enough to get a smoke show going here. But as he is going to attempt to celebrate, a couple cars going by to give that congratulations as Willie Smith takes his maiden Zero Torque Racing League win. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. This race was a bit of a weird one all throughout the afternoon here at the Darlington Raceway, and bringing it home, it's going to be Willie Smith by 5.4 seconds. Smith was closing over a second a lap. Out of nowhere, the pace vanished, and he almost fell victim to Terrence Murphy in the closing laps. TJ Ivey, after being over a lap down, almost 2 down, he's going to recover his way up with a couple of lucky cautions up to the number 4 spot. Joshua Siegfried fires home in 5th. Jonathan Dominics finishes 1 lap down in 6th. Blake Hewlett in 7th. Brian Matthews in 8th. Jason Steptoe 9th. And Samuel Longworth rounds out the top 10.
And then finishing tonight's race at Darlington Raceway, it's 11th, Dave Shively, and 12th, it's Frank Chavez. And behind them, in lucky spot 13, Stephen Blevins, followed by Eric Morton, Austin Guerrero, Jamin Bernhardt, Thaddeus Field Jr., Aaron Longworth, Jamie Dunning, and wrapping out your top 20, 97, it is Wayne Graves.
Back through the field, it's Dean Howard over 100 laps down, along with Douglas Ivey, Ethan Farless, Daniel Molinari, Keeney Kimber, Riley Watts, Adam Hoagland, and James Graney. Close out the field. The bottom 2 drivers did not take to the green flag here this afternoon. Well, that's going to lead us to the end of racing action here this afternoon, and we'll get the chance now to give a chit-chat in with the drivers that come home 1, 2, and 3, and we'll talk first and foremost with Willie Smith here, the driver that takes home his maiden Zero Torque Racing League win. Willie, big day for you. You're locked into the playoffs. How the heck did you make the fuel tank last that long?
I have no idea. Just a lot of clutching and easing into the corner. I have no idea. It's just these Chevys, we get really good gas mileage.
An absolutely stellar outing today. With you able to lock your way into the playoffs here early, how does this change your overlook for the rest of the regular series season?
Oh, it definitely changes a lot. There's going to be a couple races that I won't be able to attend for ZTRL, and this takes a lot of pressure off. Now we can just go out and try to just win and try to keep other people from getting in, you know?
Well, next week it's going to be the Echo Park Speedway on November 7th. A high-speed 1.5-mile quad oval will take us back to more familiar grounds and a bit more room to work with as well. What's going to be the game plan as we swing out to Georgia?
Gonna put in some laps. Gonna try to qualify up front. Tonight I qualified and brushed a wall on turn 1, and it didn't allow my qualifying time. And got to do a better job at qualifying and stay up front and stay out of trouble.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again. Congratulations on coming home number 1, and we'll see you again next week in Hampton.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Willie Smith comes home number 1 to this maiden Zero Turn Racing League win. Lucas, you've caught up with the driver that we thought was a shoo-in to win this one, Robert Tester.
The 22, the winner at Daytona International Speedway. It looked like he was going to be a repeat here at Darlington Raceway, but with about 5 laps left, something happened to the pace. Robert, talk us through it.
Oh, yeah, man, I just burnt my right front up trying to get around the track to catch Willie. But, man, if I just had one more lap, I would have had him. He had, I think, like 0.1, he said, of fuel crossing the finish line. So, yeah, just one more lap.
Wow, that is insane to hear. Yeah, I mean, you were the second stage winner. You led a lot of the laps. Definitely had a good amount of pace today, but just one lap, sorry, excuse me, is all you needed to get to the race win in the end. But yeah, talk us through how you're able to find so much pace around a track this tough.
Oh, man, it's just, I don't know. I find it simple, you know. Enter in low, go up high in 1 and 2, and then exit low again. Then on 3 and 4, you really got to back up the entry of 3, because if you don't, that's where most of your tire wear comes from. A lot of it, because you'll be hitting that turn, like braking last second, just sliding up and just heating up the tires. That's the way I look at it, though. But everyone's different. Everyone's got their own way around it.
And of course, my final question for you tonight here will be: do you have anyone you would like to shout out or thank here on broadcast?
Just my family, everyone that showed out today. A lot of broken toe links from what I heard, but everyone, it sounds like everyone still had a good time. That's what we're here for. Just, you know, hang out, have a good time, race hard. Just shoot, just have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and speak with us.
Oh yeah, also want to thank you guys too, real quick. Yep. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
My bad.
And yeah, of course, that was our second place finisher, Robert Tester. And Nolan now, I believe, side by side with our third place finisher, the Cincinnati native, that's Terrence Murphy.
Terrence Murphy comes home number 3 here this afternoon. And Terrence, you were really running down Robert there in the closing laps. You reckon you might have been able to overtake him if you had another lap or 2 to get the job done?
Oh, man, if I had 2 more laps, Willie would have been out of fuel, and I would have been past Robbie, and I would have talked to you first. That would have been great. But I dodged the pit barrels tonight, so I'm still calling it a win.
A solid third place here this afternoon. Did start this race from pole position as well. So overall, I think that'd be considered a very successful day at the office. With you obviously having locked yourself in just a week ago, how do you reckon this pans out for you? Do you think much of this race, or is it more just all about going on to the next one now?
It's on to the next one. I'm going to try to stack as many wins and playoff points as I can before the playoffs starts. There's only like, I think 12 races before the playoffs start, so whatever I can stack up is good. But a good points day, I should unfortunately stay in the top 3 in points and get another EOL to start the race. But it's a small sacrifice to make, I suppose.
Now we go over to the Echo Park Speedway a week from today, right? A very high-speed track, very draft-heavy track, much like Daytona the National Speedway is, but a heck of a lot less room to work with. What's going to be the game plan as we swing back down to Georgia?
Well, stay in front as long as possible. I was successful in there last season. I got the win at Atlanta in the next gen, so just stay up front and try to avoid the shenanigans. There's not that many cautions in this this series or whatever. So green flag pitting at Atlanta will be a show if it comes to it. So hopefully the guys in the back take themselves out and I can just have a nice, easy yellow flag pit stop.
Well, we will look to take things home once again next week. Congratulations on finishing third place tonight at the start and on pole, and we'll see you next week in Echo Park.
All right, thanks, bud.
Terrence Murphy comes home number 3 this afternoon, and Lucas, that is going to be it then for our podium interviews here this afternoon. Overall, a very stellar race this afternoon. Cautions got a little out of control a little bit at the start of Stage 3, but hey, we're able to get it back and have a nice, clean finish to close things out. Overall, a very solid race here from Darlington.
Yeah, from what we saw at qualifying, I was kind of expecting a 20-25 caution race here today, but only ending with about 5 or 6. Super impressed and proud of these drivers here tonight. And not only did we get a few cautions, we also got some good racing, battles for the lead, battles all up and down the field, and a little bit of chaos when we wanted it, when everything was getting a little bit boring. So all in all, a nice 2-hour-long endurance race. Never hurt nobody.
Well, we're going to get set to go back to racing before too long as well here. More racing action still yet to come here on Greenflight TV. Coming on up tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be the VOR IndyCar Series of Road Atlanta alongside the SRA Gen 4 Series at Richmond. Classic IndyCar Series action returns at Sebring with the Blaze Metals Arca Series at the National Super Speedway. From there, the High Tide Racing League Premier Series kicks off Season 5 Daytona. We'll see if Jaden Hoff can start his title defense off on a high. The Mid-Atlantic Racing Series will conquer the Magic Mile at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, while OMSRL is out at Kansas on Tuesday afternoon. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflighttv.com. Another new driver lucks his way into the playoffs here this afternoon, and we'll see if it'll be another one coming up next week. For now, that's all we have for one day. We'll see you next week in Echo Park Speedway in Hampton, Georgia.
Peace.